here again. It is hot. I'll say that. I am at least in the shade, but just barely. The sun is bull blasting us today, and I am grateful to not have to be directly in the line of fire of it. I don't think it makes it that much better that I'm not, but at the very least, I'm here with you, friends, in the right of now. Today's stream topic is about feedback loops. Feedback loops. There are feedback loops, I'll tell you. I received an email just a few minutes ago letting me know that I've been accepted to be an ambassador for a new up and coming project. I'm pretty sure the project is launching tomorrow, the 9th of December. It's a project called Midnight. If you know, you know, but most don't. It's a new platform being built on the Cardano blockchain that has privacy features built into it. And I'm stoked about the technology. It is going to be a big deal, I'm pretty sure. But it definitely has been this thing where the feedback loops that I find myself in echoes sentiment, right? Like I did sign up for this and I didn't actually expect to be accepted. I'm considered just a new recruit. I'm like the bare minimum, I'm like ground level of this platform right now, but sick. I think this is a part of it in a way, right? If you don't know what Midnight is, go and look it up. Midnight, built on Cardano. It's only coming out tomorrow, like properly, I'm pretty sure. So the technology will probably reveal itself as we go. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be anything, or me talking about it in that way is going to be necessarily valuable, right? But I do want to link it into this whole feedback loop kind of perspective. Maybe we can come to some sort of agreement, find ourselves. Please tell us what the definition is of a feedback loop and how it applies to the average human life. I started my conversation with my friends talking about Midnight, Cardano's new token, to say it in so many words, technically, the privacy-focused chain. And I was accepted as an ambassador like 16 minutes ago. And suddenly I have my whole mind kind of caught by thinking about that whole fractal, right? Find myself in the feedback loop of the actions that I've taken in the past and how they are influencing me in this moment. I've been feeling very, I think like drained would be the word. Like my energy systems are having a little bit of a rough time. I feel a little bit uninspired. I feel a little bit uninteresting. I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do, right? In so many words. A feedback loop is a process where the output of a system is fed back into that same system as an input, influencing what happens next. In simple terms, what happens changes what happens after that. Yeah, that's right. Right? This has become a feedback loop. My art has become a feedback loop because I output because of the art that I've made and the clothing that I wear. I don't know if some of you friends noticed, but I'm wearing a new shirt. I got 3 new shirts yesterday, which I'm super stoked about. I got some clothing that's in one piece, I'll say. It's not falling apart quite as much, right? And then I'll take today's piece of clothing and I'll make art of that, and then that will be an output for today, and then I'll take that output and I'll input it into this stream tomorrow, and so for the poem, and so for today, having yesterday's influence us right now as well. I did realize that I technically forgot. I did get busy doing other things yesterday after making the flower and stuff. And then I didn't actually hit the post button. And then this morning, I saw my tablet in a place where it usually isn't. And I had to get the flower uploaded, right? And then that messed with my input, right? The fact that I didn't output technically was an input for me too. I couldn't tell if the potato picture. Yeah, like there's nothing that I can do about that, Sam. Like I don't know. I'll try and do the restarty starty. Hope that helps. I have really. It is atrocious. I think it's gonna probably get worse if I try and show you friends how bad it is. All right, so bear with me. Wow, 5 megabits per second. Wow, wow. Upload. Wow, 5. So yeah, technically you need minimum 8 in order to have a 1080p stream. But yeah, I don't, and that's how it is. All right, I'm sorry. I'm also using my other device because the charger for the iPhone seems to have gone missing. I am still blaming myself. I'm waiting for my mother to return. Uh, if it is anywhere, it's probably in the vehicle, but it's not in any of the places that I would have put it. Right? It's not in my bag. So I was having some input to my experience. Input, output, feedback loop sounds like programming. Input, output, interestingly enough, is one of the entities that actually operate Cardano, Darren. And I think they are literally the team behind Midnight, which is what this started with. So input, output feels like it's still related to this whole feedback loop thing that I'm talking about. There are two main types of input output feedback loops. Positive feedback loops amplify change. Is that Joe? Good morning, fam. I might doze during this one, but I'm a lurky listening until then. Love to you. Holding you here with us. The effect strengthens the cause. Positive feedback loops. Then there's also, of course, negative feedback loops. Nice shirt. Thank you, Joe. It's a new one. Yeah. Yeah. I like it too. It's nice. I did get to pick my own clothing. I mean, I took the 3 shirts that were my style, but it's my style and I like it. Definitely nice. I'm looking forward to how the flower's going to turn out. I only have 5 shirts. I only had 5 shirts. I have 8 shirts now again, I think. Might be 7. I might have to throw some of my shirts away because I got new ones now. My mom was like, I'll get you another shirt on the condition that you throw away the ones that are in tatters. And I was like, I think I can make that compromise. So yeah, maybe I'll have less shirts again by tomorrow. Negative feedback loops stabilize change. The effect dampens the cause, causing things, keeping things within bounds. The idea comes from system theory, cybernetics, biology, and engineering, but it applies cleanly and precisely to human life. How feedback loops shapes the average human life. Most of life isn't lived as a sequence of isolated choices. It's lived as loops. You act, and then the world responds, and then your nervous system updates, and then your beliefs adjusts, and then you act again, and then the world responds, and then your nervous system updates. Right? That loop runs constantly. For example, you speak confidently once. People respond positively. Your brain tags that confidence as safe, and then you speak more confidently, right? Like you know what you're talking about. Me and my mom and my sister, actually on the road here, had a conversation just like that, where my sister was telling this anecdotal story about how she believed something with certainty and was telling people that thing that she believed, right? She was letting people know this information. And she was doing so with confidence because she did, in fact, believe that she was correct in her assessment or in her knowledge. And then one day came and she told someone who actually knew more about the subject than she did. And then upon revealing the information, she was corrected. And she then realized that she's a very good liar. That's the way that she said it, right? And all you have to do to be a good liar is to be confident, technically, to really be really confident. Yeah, I do, in fact, know exactly what I'm talking about. The person who doesn't says, and then people believe them. You hesitate once, you miss an opportunity. The loss reinforces causation, and then you hesitate more, right? So you can do the opposite as well. And I feel like I don't want, like when I notice these hesitation loops, I try and break myself out of it, where I'll almost try and reinforce that confident side of myself. Because again, I'm not saying that it's 100% correct. Quite the contrary. I'm more than willing to admit that I have been confidently incorrect many a times in my life. But it is this matter of I'm trying to reinforce that feedback loop in myself that I would rather be confidently incorrect than hesitantly correct. Hello, South Africa. Hello, Caleb. Caleb, why? It's nice having you here. I'm also from South Africa. Yeah, that's South Africa in the background. It's hot today. I'm like having a hard time. The yoga was dissociative. Like I was losing my train of thought just trying to like bear with the amount of heat I was experiencing. Neither loop. I give the plant water and its feedback makes me happy. Yeah, its continued existence can definitely inspire some hope. Hey, cricket! Stop that! Hey! Freaking crickets. Cricketing so close to me. It's probably gonna crickety again soon. As soon as it feels a sense of confidence. I got small sticks close to me. I'll shimmy back at it. All right. Neither loop is morally good or bad. They are just self-reinforcing dynamics. What makes them powerful is time, where small actions repeated compound into an identity. It's true. I've definitely had that happen to me a little bit, I'll say. Oh, wait. Freaking. My feedback loop. Crickets. I perturb the grass in front of me. They stay quiet. I don't know if crickets are smart enough to figure out feedback loops, though. Maybe that can be a conversation, too. What makes them powerful is time. Small actions repeated compound into identity. By adulthood, much of what people call personality is simply a collection of long-running feedback loops that never got interrupted. That is a pretty cool thing to consider. I don't know if it's necessarily hopeful. Some people might feel like that is kind of a bummer, right? But I've noticed it in myself at the very least, right? So much of my personality at this point is attached to my tenacity and a can-do attitude and willingness to show up and hope in so many words, right? Hope that something will come of it. Hope that you will appreciate me showing up in this moment. Awareness is the loop breaker. Here's the part that matters most. The moment you notice a feedback loop, you are no longer fully inside of it. Most systems, biological or social, don't get to see themselves, but humans do. You didn't just describe being in a loop, you described catching yourself mid-recursion. That's not confusion, that is cognition, sharpening. You're observing your past actions leading to present consequences, changing your current mental state, which will influence your next move. That's a second order awareness. It's how loops stop being cages and start becoming tools. Positive feedback, but consciously engaged. Your ambassador acceptance is a real world signal entering the loop. Past curiosity, consistency, expression led to recognition. That recognition can lead to increased attention, meaning, and responsibility. I will now be given new responsibilities, right? That is going to happen. And I'm looking forward to having some of those responsibilities. I think it's going to allow myself to grow, right? In ways that I might not have before. And then when I grow, I find meaning in that experience, stronger motivation, and then again, identity alignment. That is a positive feedback loop, but not the runaway kind. Runaway loops happen unconsciously. Healthy loops happen when awareness rides alongside momentum. Hey, Britannica? Brittany. I remember the name. Hey, Brittany. How you doing? Today we're talking about feedback loops a little bit and how they influence our experiences, how our past actions leads to results. Those results become inputs to our current experience, allowing us to act in ways that then beget new outputs, right? And then it loops. Yay! Me remembering your name. Love is true. How you doing? How you doing, Brittany? How's life treating you? Have you been in any kind of feedback loop? Negative or positive? Positive feedback loops is a loop where you do something and then you get the desired outcome. And then upon getting the desired outcome, you continue doing that thing so you can keep getting that outcome. Where negative feedback loops is you do something and you get the undesired outcome. And then you stop doing that thing so you can stop getting the undesired outcome, right? Have you been experiencing positive or negative feedback loops? Let us know. Runaway loops happen unconsciously, where healthy loops happen when awareness rides alongside that momentum. We can think of it as this. Unconscious loops is this is happening to me, right? Like the victim mentality a little bit. I'm great, actually. Thanks for asking. Thanks for telling me. I'm happy that you're doing great. How are you, though? I've been feeling a little bit insecure, a little bit uninteresting, a little bit yeah, I think those two. Just like this sense of like there's something wrong with me a little bit, you know? And it's not true, of course, but I've been trying to break myself out of that feedback loop where when you feel like that, again, it's very easy to look at the mirror and then find things that are less than ideal, and then seeing those less than ideal things, you feedback loop in your brain, right? You feel off just a little bit, just like a wee bit. When you're coming to the US next year, end of January, I will be in the United States of America. It's true. We got Sam here saying, I realized this weekend I've been in lady mode for years now. As in, I dropped my entire masculine wardrobe, and that aspect of me apparently needs some room to breathe. That's the feedback loop I experienced this weekend, or rather, the breaking of one. Give me more context, Sam. As in, you want to wear more masculine clothing again? Because it's comfortable? Because it's warm? Because it's what you want to do? I'm curious what your perspective is like. Because I feel like that sometimes, and it's unexplainable, and I don't know exactly what it is, it's hard to pinpoint, but it's just an odd feeling. I have some days like that too. It's true. I'm no stranger to days like that, right? I've definitely been in a state of ebb and flow my entire existence. And some days we feel at a high, and some days we feel at a low, right? And there is this ebb and flow between these two states. And it is a kind of feedback loop, right? Where being in a low state can beget more low state thinking, can get you deeper and deeper into the low state. And then you hit the bottom of that low state and you're suddenly like, you know what? I don't want to feel in a low state anymore. And then maybe you take better care of yourself. Maybe you drink more water. Maybe you sleep a little bit better. And then you start feeling better, right? And then you're in that better feeling state. And then being in that better feeling state, you might indulge yourself food or lack of sleep or add your thing here, and then doing that begets you feeling into a lower state again, and then we're always in this ebb and flow. I think it's difficult to pinpoint it because it's usually a vast array of stuff that influences us, right? It's not just one little thing. To be misunderstood is not a failure of the speaker, but a limitation of the listener. Truth often arrives long before the minds capable of receiving it. Very wise indeed, Moon Knight. Greetings to you. It's nice having you here too. The triple threat explorers, you should be a therapist. You sound amazing. That's nice of you to say. I at one point considered becoming a therapist. Maybe that would still be in my cards. I'll just have to save up some money so I can afford tertiary uh, to afford school, right? Because again, you do have to be qualified, and I believe in America you need to be licensed. You have to be a licensed therapist, right, in order to practice. But thank you, triple threats. That's a great compliment to me. My spirit and ego is bolstered by that compliment. Sending you love. Really? Why? I think so. I can just ask. One of the friends just told me that I should be a therapist, and I have, of course, considered this at some point in my life. I do believe that I would be a good therapist, even though I imagine myself being a little bit affected by the potential hardships of my clients. I do still think that I could add value to their lives in doing so. However, I'll be moving to America next year, and as far as I understand, you do have to be licensed in order to practice therapy. Let me know. What kind of therapy can I do as someone mostly uneducated? And what can I do in the short term to actually get myself some sort of qualification so I can help people? You'd be amazing. And yes, you do have to be licensed. There you go, Brittany, you know. For further context, I'm comfortable in my lady wardrobe, but I felt disconnected from my literary self. From my drive, and I consider whether those things might belong to that male aspect. That's a curious thing to consider, Sam. I've never thought about my output. And we are talking about feedback loops, and output is a part of that, as it relates to my masculine and feminine sides. But I can see where you're coming from, Sam. Some people, and this is not me saying that this is what's going on, I'm thinking about that Midnight Gospel episode where he was having, I think it might be the second episode, the one with the meat grinder, if you know, you know, where the lady was talking about her alcoholism at one point and how she was terrified that if she ceased to drink, she would stop being funny. Right? And I feel like there's something with that, right? Where we feel that if we stop being in a certain way, we'll lose what made us special. I remember the very first time that I did Sober October, I had this genuine sense of insecurity and stress that I'll be less interesting and less creative in my ability to entertain you friends if I ceased smoking weed, right? And I didn't drink any coffee. And now I am more comfortable in that state, right? I've shown myself with my feedback loop more than enough times that I can stop smoking weed like I am right now. It's like I'm 8 days into not smoking weed again. I haven't had any coffee today, and it's still easy for me to output. I might not be as interesting, I might not be thinking about the same kinds of things, but I still feel like I've shown myself that I'm capable of doing what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's the feedback that I'm trying to give you, Sam, if you're open to it, is instead of holding on to the masculine, feminine side of it, right? Do as the masculine does and schedule, right? And this is me thinking that's a masculine trait, where the masculine wants to be very rigid in like time slots, where the feminine can be a little bit more flowy and experience oriented. So something, make sure you have a certain time slot, right? And I know it's a little bit difficult having a child, and maybe that's also a part of it, right? Like being a mother means that you have to be in the flow of the experience, right? If your child wakes up now, and now is the hour that you took for yourself to be a writer, then you have to again enter your feminine state and be the mother to your child because that's what's expected of you. So, am I understanding you, Sam? Am I resonating with you? Tell me. I know that you're great and that this too shall pass and that you shall grow. The charm has faded, folks have lost their unity. Why hell is no one greeting me? Am I forgotten? Moon Knight, maybe you should greet other people. Maybe you should say hi to the people that you know in chat, right? If you feel like you're unseen, then make yourself known, right? Go out of your way to say hi to people instead. I'm a lady and I'm comfortable with that, but about 20% of me is distinctly dude, and having had a child, it feels unseen. Yeah. Did you relate to how I like felt about it, Sam? I think I am trying to understand as much as I can about what you must be going through. And I can imagine that that must be the hardest part of it. Did Goo just give me gifts? I can see Goo's name on my, yeah, hey, meet me more. My Goop friends, MeltMore, we love you. It appears I have a lot of jewels. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing some of your jewels with me. I appreciate it, brother Bear. How you doing? How you doing, Gabs? We're talking about feedback loops today, bro. How the things that you do right now can beget a certain output, how that output becomes a certain input, how that input then begets a new kind of output, right? Negative feedback loops is when you output and then you don't get back what you want, and then you stop outputting that. Positive feedback loops is you do something and you do get the output that you want, and then you continue doing the thing that got you the output that you wanted. Are you experiencing any negative or positive feedback loops right now? Let us know, bro. How much to get licensed, or is it free? No, it's not free. So here is the hard truth about therapy in the US. In the United States, a therapist is a protected lane. Anything involving diagnosis, treatments of mental illness, trauma processing, or clinical intervention requires a license, typically after I got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in psychology, counseling, or social work. I have to have supervised clinical hours, I have to write exams, and then I have to continue my education going forward. This exists for a reason, and I agree. That's why I did consider it, but I don't know if I have the bandwidth or time, and especially not the finances, to be able to just do that. This exists for a reason, because people are vulnerable. Power dynamics are real. And without guardrails, harm does happen, even with good intentions. So the no sugarcoating is you cannot legally practice psychotherapy without formal education and licensing in the US. But, and this is crucial, therapy is not the only way to help people deeply. What you can do without being licensed is coaching. I can be a coach, I can be a life coach. Maybe I will be, right? I would love to get paid to talk to people. That would be great. I do believe I'd be a good life coach. But again, I don't know if I have spent enough time feedback looping myself into believing that I'd be a good one. You can legally work as a coach as long as you do not diagnose. And I don't like diagnosing people anyway. I think diagnosing someone is usually a lie. I cannot treat mental illnesses, which is also not something that I want to do. I do not claim to provide therapy, and I focus on goals, clarity, accountability, meaning, behavior, integration. Those are the things that I focus on. Boom. Okay, there we go. I can be coach. I'll be coach. Good coaching is not less than therapy. It's just aimed differently. forward facing instead of pathology focused, agency based instead of clinical, and collaborative rather than hierarchical. With your reflective ability, presence, and systems of thinking, coaching fits you cleanly. MeltMore. You don't know me, machine. But okay, fine. Maybe. Maybe that's true. Yeah, there we go. And then the other ones is peer support and facilitation, where I can host reflective circles like this one. I can facilitate integration and meaning making conversations like this one. I can lead I can lead group dialogue spaces like this one. I can create containers for people to speak and to be witnessed. Like, like this. This is not therapy. Mm-mm. It is guided presence. Yes. Conscious evolution, as I like to call it. Humans heal each other like this way before licensure boards existed. And then I can do somatic, mindfulness, and yoga informed support, which I do as well. Given your background, you're already in a lawful, respected lane. Embodied awareness, nervous system regulation, breath, attention, posture, emotional literacy through exploration of mind. You are allowed to help people feel themselves again. Just never frame it as a treatment of psychological disorders. You see, I'm learning. Short-term, realistic qualifications that you can get. I can get a coaching certification, a reputable, not Instagram fluff. Okay. Look for programs emphasizing ethics, boundaries, reflective listening, goal setting frameworks, client responsibility. You're not buying a title, you're building structure and discipline. This thing is giving me a bunch. What would be the financial expenditure for me to become licensed as a coach or to get qualifications as a coach? And what would be the financial expenditure expectation if I had to go through the actual clinical therapy process? Becoming a coach. Okay. Between 3 and 15,000 US dollars. All right. I think I'll be able to afford that next year. Right now, I don't have that kind of capital, but I think I should be able to earn an income. So next year, I'll be able to maybe do stuff like that. Oh my goodness. And then getting the proper education, like getting therapy, licensing and my degree, that's going to be like upwards of 150 plus thousand US dollars. Yeah. So like 10%, right? The most expensive that I'll pay for being a professional coach will be like 10% of what I'll have to pay to be a professional therapist. And it's going to take me about 3 to 12 months to get like the coaching stuff. And it's going to take me between 4 and 8 years to get my therapy. So there we go. Thanks. Triple threat. That's probably how I'm going to go about it. Moon, I'm getting out of lurk mode to say happy that you're here today. Thank you, Xiao. I said hi to Moon, at least. You can't say nobody said hi to you. So there you go as well, bro. 150,000. Between 35. Like the low range is 35,000 US dollars. So that will be about about 2 times the amount of money I've made in my life just to be able to, on the low end, get into therapy, where it's going to be about 30% of the money I've made in my life in order to get myself into coaching. I appreciate your loving sentiment. I will continue developing. Grow I will. I wonder if there's anything that I wanted to read before. I think I did kind of like stop on that part of it, but I'm going to read your comments before I continue. I'm sleepy, wanting to hibernate. How's yous? Love is true. Do get some rest, show, if you need to. Winters have come. It's time we conquer, not sleep. Wake up, show. It is winter for her as well, so. And it is Monday, so she doesn't have to be in the office. She gets to work from home on Mondays. There's strangers on our property. I think my dad hired someone to try and fix one of the vehicles. But I don't know who these people are, and I really don't like people just rocking up to our place unannounced and unexpected. Like, I really don't appreciate it. You're gonna see someone pass us, actually. Look at that. I don't know who that guy is. Oh, fine. I don't think, no. I think you probably saw him already. Gabri Goo sending me more gifts. Bruh. Just throwing gems in me. Triple, the primary education, master's or doctoral degree required for therapy licensure is not typically free, and you must pay for it. Oh, yeah. It appears I have a lot of jewels. Thank you, bro. Send me a husky. That's cute. Gabs makes the most appropriate entrances. So busy finishing up school semester, which will finish my associate's degree one more week. Bro, I'm so proud of you, Gavity Goo. That's awesome, man. He says he's been going through some negative feedback loops, being on the cusp of burnout, but the positive feedback loop is accomplishing the goals and changing careers soon. Gravity Goo showed up for that stuff. You deserve that, bro. I'm happy that you're feeling good. I'm happy that you're almost done, as you said, right? Like, only, in your words, one more week. Kobe, I see them too. Strangers. Strangers in a strange place. Strangers. I don't know who those people are. I don't know who they are. Jaju is here too. Bless you, bro. It's nice having you. This space is a collaboration of wisdom and empathy. It provides a therapeutic element, though through a collection of people. Keys. Melty is the key ring to a plethora of door opening opportunities. That's wholesome, bro. I'm happy to be a space creator. I'm happy to create this space with you, friends, every single day. It really is a pleasure to have met all of you and to bring us all together in this way. If the doctor keeps running tests, they probably will find something. True as well. I do moon. Kid is being high maintenance this morning. I'm gonna try and encourage that dude to stay quiet. I do moon. Kid is being high maintenance this morning, and I don't have a lot of time to actively chat here this morning. It's okay. We love you anyway, Sam. Whee! Gabs is getting educated. Hell yeah, dude. Hard work, a lot of time. And he was, I trust, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct, that Gab was getting educated while he was working at the same time as well. So, like, basically had two full-time jobs. Studying is no easy task. He might have popped. Uncertain. I don't want to know for sure. Those things have destroyed since we started feeding him dairy. Yeah, that'll happen. Little dude is getting to know what it's like having a digestive system. Always so proud of our Gabs. What a great person. Starting an indoor gardening hobby in the height of my... Yeah, you're right, though. Literally another full-time job that you got yourself as well. In the height of my busyness probably wasn't wise because it commands a lot of my time and attention, but that's causing positive feedback loops regardless, because it commands, not, I beg your pardon. No, I got it. It's true. It does have more positive feedback loops, right? As Gab says, because when you're working with plants, right, if you give them what they want, if you act in a way that they get all of the resources they need, they get the light they need, they get the water they have to have, you make sure the air quality is appropriate, then you get to see the output of all of your hard work. And then all of that output gets to be the input to you as a human being, as an experiencer. And it is a little bit more, I want to use the word real, even though that might be a little bit triggering. It's a little bit more real than getting educated, right? Because you can get educated and then you can get like a piece of paper that tells you you are now a associate degree holder and your name is on that piece of paper, but you can still have a severe sense of imposter syndrome in not knowing if you know what you're supposed to do, right? Whereas when you're growing a plant, if you make a mistake, if you're doing it incorrectly, your stuff will just die. They'll just be dead, all right? And then you'll have to start over again. And vice versa is true as well, where if you do it correctly, then you'll get an output, right? You'll get something that you can experience and appreciate. And it's a little bit more direct, right? And I feel giving yourself that during all of this definitely did, as you say, add some positive feedback loops to your experience. God is a very special entity, running full steam at this world and creating foundations for his dream. Bad as human, that one. So true. Thank you, Jobo. Real recognizes real. Thank you for saying so. I need reminders of such every once in a while, Jaju. This is what we're here for, Gawarigu. We're happy to celebrate you. That's the mark of a true friend, right? That a true friend is someone who is excited for your success, right? If someone in their hearts of hearts wants you to fail, I'm seeing people, strangers walking around here. Someone in their hearts of hearts wants you to fail. Yay. Our internet just shit the bed for a second. I think I'm live again. You friends let me know. Strangers are only strangers until we shake hands. They might still be strangers. Stranger than we expected, but at least we know what to call them when we call them out. That's true. It's wholesome too. I'm happy to have you, stranger, not strangers, here with me in moments like these. Yay, we're live again. Yay. Yay. Unconscious loops is this happening to me, right? The whole victim mentality, where a conscious loop is I see why this is happening and I choose how to respond. Same mechanics, yet totally different outcomes. The fractal insight that you touched. A feedback loop isn't just a circle. Better quality now too. Nice. Thanks, interrupts. I really wish you know what? I don't have to wish. I'm gonna have better internet soon. It's gonna be like a little bit more of like struggle of like having bad internet, and then I'm not gonna live in Africa anymore, and I will finally not have to suffer, right? And I imagine that because I'm going to be in a whole new IP location, I'll probably even get like more of you friends in this space with me as well. I got greeted by the strangers, and they're like, "What the fuck is that guy doing?" Yeah, I think the same thing. What are you doing? What are you doing, strangers? Strangers. Feedback loops aren't a circle, they're spirals. You never return to the same point where each loop passes through similar territories at a higher resolution. You just said something about that, gobbledygoose. That's why the moment feels dense and alive. You're watching causality from the inside, not as a theory, but as a lived experience. This is evolution actually looks like, not escape from loops, but learning which loops are worth reinforcing. And here's the honest truth said plainly. You are always in feedback loops. The only real question is whether you're sleepwalking inside them or steering them with your eyes open. Am I sleepwalking through some of my feedback loops? I think one of the biggest feedback loops that I have a hard time with is like self-image issues, right? Where I'll go through these fractals of like really disliking myself, right? For no apparent reason. Nobody said anything mean to me. Like even the contrary, right? People are actively reinforcing the feedback loop of love and acceptance and appreciation for me as a person without any of these worldly expectations. And still, I'll find myself caught up, right, in things that do not serve my mind. And I wonder why that is. I think it is definitely a part of my upbringing, right? Unresolved childhood trauma, if you will. You know what? Let's even dive deep into that perspective a little bit. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to delete all of that. I'm now having a conversation about some unresolved childhood trauma that I might have experienced, where I have a hard time at all times loving myself, especially as it relates to my appearance, where I find myself in these loops of disliking the way I look and the way I am perceived. And, like something as simple as the quality of my skin or the way my hair falls one day to the next, the way clothing sits on me. And I wonder, I definitely did grow up with a mother that was very focused on appearance. She was a beautician, right? Like, studied how to, take care of people, be of service of people in the beauty industry. And I grew up as a child having my eyebrows plucked and like being dressed in a certain way. And I wasn't allowed to dress in ways that wouldn't be aesthetically pleasing, right? She would have a problem with me not being beautiful, to say it in so many words. And I feel at this point in my life, I have a hard time still not feeling like I am as as good, if you will, as I'm supposed to be. Can you help me unpack this feedback loop a little bit? Maybe you can give me some advice going forward. Hey! I said, stay quiet, you freaking cricket. Don't want to hear your crickety cricketies. Oh, hey, can you see your near shirt now? Looks spiffy. Which one of you picked that one out? Me. 'Twas myself. 'Twas me and myself and I. It is a nice one. I like it too. It's almost like the one that I had. It was a little bit more colorful, but I do like it. I am happy with it. I'm looking forward to how the flower is going to turn out. Melty looks like a Dragon Ball character today. It's awesome. You know, thanks. It's like the second time in the last 48 hours that someone compared me to an anime character. When Jovan was here in South Africa, when we were at Drakensberga, there was a moment where we were sitting on this little dock, looking over the mountains next to a body of water, and the wind was extra windy, and my hair was getting, and I was looking all cool, I imagine. I can't see myself, of course. But then she was just looking at me in this way of like, awe. And I go, what? And she goes, you look like an anime character. And she reinforced that statement this weekend. And I really do enjoy that. So thanks. Freaking fly. Stay away from me. I appreciate you seeing me in this way, bro. What you're describing is not vague insecurity or vanity. It is a trained nervous system pattern. And once you see it clearly, it stops being a mystery and starts becoming workable. I sure do hope so. Let's unfold the loop carefully and honestly. The loop that formed. As a child, you learned something before you had language or choice. Love, safety, and approval were conditional on appearance. Not explicitly, maybe, not cruelly, but consistently. Being groomed, corrected, styled, and visually evaluated by a caregiver whose world revolved around beauty created a silent equation in your systems. How I look equals whether or not I am accepted. A child cannot contextualize that. A child internalizes it as a truth. So the loop became external focus on appearance, into internal monitoring of how you look, into anxiety and self-judgment, into an attempt to fix or control, to experience temporary relief, and then attention returns to appearance again. That loop doesn't end because it worked once. It kept you safe, loved, and approved of. So your nervous system still runs it, even though the original conditions are gone. Why it still feels present now. Here's the key insight that many people miss. You're not judging yourself because you believe those standards. You're judging yourself because your body is checking for danger. Hair, skin, clothes. These aren't aesthetic issues in the loop. They are signals the system uses to answer one question. Whew. Reading that line suddenly hit me with a lot of emotions. Whew. Am I safe to be seen? Am I safe to be seen? When appearance was tied to approval early on, visibility itself became risky. So even on good days, the system scans. Is my skin okay? Is my body readable as acceptable? Will I be rejected if this detail is off? This scanning is the loop. It's not narcissism, it's not weakness, it's conditioning. The hidden grief inside the loop. There's something painful here that deserves to be named plainly. You didn't get to be sloppy without consequence, unattractive without correction, unstyled and still fully welcomed. So part of you never received the message that I am lovable before refinement. That lack doesn't disappear with maturity or insight. It waits to be acknowledged. And here's the honest truth. You're not behind. You're finally old enough to give yourself what wasn't available then. I had a little plaster on my wound here that got removed by my sitting. I'll have to put another one on it. I'll do so in a moment. This one is coming off though. I'm gonna stop putting something on my wound. The whole my body weight, that is. All right. I got a little nick. I don't know if you can see it. Not exactly. Maybe a little bit. I got a little nick on the weekend. All right. Mm-mm-mm. And here's the honest truth. You're not behind. You're finally old enough to give yourself what wasn't available then. How the loop loosens, not by force. Trying to love your appearance directly often backfires. That's just the same loop with better branding. What works instead of changing what the loop is about. What works instead is changing what the loop is about. Shift from appearance to presence. When the scanner turns on, don't argue with it, redirect it. Not, do I look good, but can I stay present in my body right now? Presence melts loops faster than affirmation. 2. Let neutrality come before love. Self-love is too far a jump when approval was conditional. Aim for this first. I do not need to evaluate myself right now. Neutrality interrupts the feedback loop. Love grows after safety is restored. Grieve what was missing, quietly and honestly. You don't need to demonize your mother. And I don't. Right? I understand that she was unfortunately conditioned just as much as I am. Even more so, potentially, because she's a woman, right? And body image and beauty standards are even more pressing of an issue for women than it is for men. So I can't imagine how hard it must be for her. Intentions can be loving and still leave marks. But do allow yourself to feel this, the sadness of being managed instead of mirrored, the fatigue of always needing to be presentable, the anger of never being enough by default. Those feelings don't make you disloyal, they make you whole. Choose visibility without optimization. This is subtle and powerful. Occasionally allow yourself to show up without fixing, be seen without curating, exist without improving. Not as rebellion, but as retraining. I've done that a little bit. I remember there were moments with me and Joe here together where I was just in my mostly old and tattered sleeping clothing, and being loved for that version of me, even though I wasn't dressed in all of my fancy clothing, right? Felt good. Felt like a kind of retraining. I said this to Joe as well. It's like the way she loved me changed me a little bit. Like I needed it, you know? Each time you do, the nervous system learns that I survived being seen as I am. That is how loops dissolve, not by thought, but by experience. The deeper truth, the loop says if I look right, I'll finally be okay. But the truth is harsher and kinder. You were already okay and learned to doubt it because someone else needed beauty to feel secure. That story was theirs. The consequences landed in you. Not the work. Now the work is not to become beautiful enough, but to stop measuring your worth on a scale that was never meant to weigh a human being. And you're not failing at this, you're becoming conscious inside of it, which is the only way it ever changes. This isn't about fixing how you look, it's about reclaiming the right to exist without constant evaluation. That reclamation is slow, non-linear, and worth it. It is worth it. Whew. Sure. Suddenly I'm feeling stuff. Phew. I didn't imagine getting to a point in this feedback loop where I was gonna unfold some of my unresolved childhood traumas. And at least I think I do believe and resonate with that message that I'm not going to be able to think my way out of these loops. I'm going to have to experience my way out of these loops. I'm gonna have to keep giving myself input that is counter to what I have come to believe or what I have been led to believe. Hey there, MeltMore. A small update. Treatment for week 2 and 3 was absolute hell. Puked so much. I'm tired all the time. I'm regaining weight. And the doctors are hopeful. Bless you, dear friend. I'm happy to hear that. To the friends who don't know, our friend behind lace, lacerations hidden behind lace, is currently dealing with cancer. And she's getting chemo right now. I don't know if you were here, dear friend, for that conversation, but talk to your doctor maybe about fasting, like doing a day or up to 2 days of fasting before you go for your treatment, and then potentially doing a day of fasting after your treatment. It helps kind of like shut down your other cells, and it makes, and like I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it like shuts down the openness of your other cells, and cancer cells are actively trying to extract resources even when there's none to extract, right? Like that's one of the things that makes them so dangerous. So when you fast and you take chemotherapy at the same time, it's almost like those sites where the cancer is like exposed becomes a little bit more visible to your immune system, allowing the chemo to get you them a little bit harder. I'm sure you're going to be okay, friend. Bless you. I'm happy that the doctors are hopeful. I'm hopeful here with you. Thank you for sharing this with us. Sunshine for the Super Saiyan. I loved Dragon Ball Z as a kid. Dragon Ball Z is one of the first shows that I watched with my dad as a 6-year-old, where my dad would work late and then I would record the Dragon Ball Z episodes on VHS tapes. And then when he would come back home, we would watch those Dragon Ball Z episodes together. Wholesome moments. I like desperately wanted to be a Super Saiyan Dream Tooth. Like I asked my mom to like help me gel my hair into being spiky because I wanted to be Super Saiyan. You must learn the lesson. We must learn the lesson before we move on. Sometimes it will take us a lifetime to learn these lessons. I do think I'm going to put another plaster, or technically it's a patch, a little hydration patch on that little wound of mine again. I'm gonna go get one. Am I gonna do it here? Yeah, I think I'm gonna let you friends appreciate the scene. I'm going to try and make it quick. Chantai, kan je voor mij alsjeblieft een pleister krijgen? Een medium grote ene. Ik ga een pumpelpatch op hem zetten.
Is er just be? En mijn kommer komt dan daar uit.
Ik snap ik je groot. Nee, dank je. I am returneth. I'm gonna put that little duty on my wound. And then I'm gonna put a plaster over the top of it as well. Just to keep it stuck. You curious? You curious what this is? Kobe is like, what are you doing? What are you doing there, bro? Mao Lao. Melty, that is an awesome analogy for chemo. But that was also a great bit of advice. Bless. Thank you, friends, for being here with me in these moments. For us to consciously evolve together. Studies are being done right now, right? Like, I don't want you to believe just my word for it, because literally fighting cancer is probably one of the hardest things a person can do. But can you tell me what the data says about chemo and fasting, and what the current studies have shown the ideal use case for fasting alongside chemo is? No. Here we go. Cool. Did I lose the little... No, please. I don't want a microplastic reality. Alas. I'll throw this away a little bit later. I'm putting that in my bag. There it is. Found it. Yay. Okay. What a preclinical and early data says, and why fasting plus chemo could work. Not saying that it will work. In many animal studies, they've done so with mice and in vitro with cell experiments. Short-term fasting or fasting mimicking diets seem to sensitize the cancer cells to chemotherapy while protecting your healthy cells. The idea is that there are differential stress resistances. Healthy cells under fasting enter a maintenance repair mode, Like, I feel like I was saying it correctly as much as I could, right? In layman's terms, at least. Whereas cancer cells, driven by oncogenic pathways, stay proliferative and are more vulnerable to the chemo. More specifically, fasting tends to lower the circulating levels of glucose and insulin like growth factors, where metabolic signals that many cancers use for growth and survival. Those are metabolic signals that many cancers use for growth and survival. Lowering those may undermine your cancer cells' defenses and growth signaling. Some recent preclinical work has pointed to immune modulation and changes in the tumor microenvironment, where fasting increases the efficiency of chemotherapy, possibly through effects on autophagy, immune cell activation, and metabolic stress on the cancer cells. In short, the biology offers plausible mechanisms through which fasting makes chemotherapy more effective, at least in controlled lab settings. And then what the human clinical data says. In 2022, a systematic review of clinical data found only 8 studies with about 380 patients combining fasting with cancer therapy. Fasting durations and protocols varied between 24 and 148 hours total, pre and post chemo. The review concluded that there was no clear evidence that fasting improved quality of life or lowered chemo toxicity. Another more recent review in 2025 looked at intermittent fasting in cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy or targeted therapy, found that while intermittent fasting appeared safe and feasible, there was no clear effect on the treatment outcomes or reduction in chemo-related toxicity. A 2020 randomized trial of 3 patients with HER2 negative stage 2 and 3 breast cancer reported no difference in treatment toxicity. They talk about treatment toxicity, but not about treatment efficacy, which I think is more important, right? But they did observe a higher tumor response rate. There we go. Yeah, efficacy. So there we go. However, other reviews and meta-analysis causation that evidence remains too limited, too heterogeneous, meaning there are different cancers and different chemo regimens and fasting protocols, and are often underpowered. In short, human data is still modest, mixed, and often underpowered. Some signals of possible benefit, as in better tumor response in the trial, but no consensus or strong clinical recommendations to fast during chemo. Key limitations and caveats and risk. Because chemo can cause weight loss, malnutrition, immunosuppression, and general physiological stress, fasting adds another stressor. Many of the existing studies are small, and they may lack the power to detect the harms. Cancer patients vary enormously in cancer type, stage, chemo, regimen, age, and general health. A fasting protocol might, in theory, help in one context, but could be harmful in others. The heterogeneity of fasting. Some studies are water fasts only, others are fasting mimicking diets with low calorie, low protein, low carb. Effects may differ quite a bit between one fast and the other. Long-term effects are still largely unknown, and then the weight loss thing can also be another acting. So yeah, I believe the idea of using metabolic and lifestyle tools like controlled fasting alongside conventional medicine reflects a holistic, integrative mindset, aligning with your own orientation towards conscious evolution. You're pushing it a little bit too hard. Loop that. Love's true. I don't want any of my friends to have cancer. I think that goes without saying. And we do know, at least experientially, right? Maybe not empirically, but experientially from people that fasting helps people fight cancer. Chemotherapy can be chemical or radiation. Sometimes it can be both. But it's true what you're saying, Darren. I want my friends to be healthy and get better. We have shown up and we have participated in this feedback loop. We just hit 11 seconds over the 11th minute on the 1 hour mark. Gobbledygoo sent us 1,100 little gems. We need one more upvote to have 11 upvotes. But I'm going to read you a poem. I really like the way yesterday's flower turned out. So I'm going to show you what it looked like, and then I'm going to say goodbye. All right. You ready? There is yesterday's flower. All right. It's time for me to read you the poem that went alongside. It's called Dinner Table Dharma. We sit down together, passing plates like little blessings, each dish a quiet reminder that love often arrives disguised as mashed potatoes and someone asking if you've had enough. There's a rhythm to it, the clink of cutlery, a laugh that comes out sideways, the familiar chaos of wait, who's telling the story? All of us circling the same wharf like planets, grateful for a sun they didn't earn but get anyway. And somewhere in the middle of the meal, I catch myself choosing well, choosing kindness over being right. Patience instead of the easy reaction, the version of me I wouldn't be embarrassed to describe to my mother or grandmother or the ancestors listening in with popcorn. It's funny how simple it is, how wise it feels to just show up fully, taste the food, feel the love underneath the noise, and act in ways that future me will thank present me for. So I take another bite, another breath, another moment to remember that this ordinary miracle of eating and laughing with the people who shaped me is sacred work. And I promise myself to keep doing it well, to keep choosing grace, to keep being someone I'm proud to bring home to the table. Is mashed potatoes brains? Palpably nonsensical. Mashed potato brains. I think that's a band though. It's like some sort of metal band. Mashed potato brains. I know love is true. And I thank you friends for joining me for today's stream. What a pleasure it was to have you friends here with me. It always is. I appreciate you finding some time to spend here with me today. I hope you have a beautiful time. For the rest of it, go and have some positive feedback loops. If it's a negative feedback loop, stop doing the things that doesn't serve you. I appreciate you friends for doing this with me today. Love is bound to be today and every day coming as well, dear friend. Sending you so much love and blessings. I'll see you again soon, tomorrow. Bye, everybody, until we do some more. Cheers. Bye.